The most powerful people in the world share one habit almost no one notices. They don't explain themselves. In this video, you'll learn why silence signals authority, why explanations weaken power, and how elites use restraint to control perception without ever raising their voice. If you're interested in understanding how influence really works beneath the surface, subscribe now. Let's begin. We're taught from childhood that explaining yourself is polite, that clarity earns respect, that if people misunderstand you, you should correct them. But in elite circles, the opposite rule applies. The more power you hold, the less you speak to defend it. Every word you offer is a small surrender. Every explanation opens a door for judgment. And judgment can dilute authority. This video will explain why, with examples from history, business, and human behavior, so you can see how silence is not just absence, but a strategic force. Before we continue, if you're watching this outside the usual noise of social media, comment where you're watching from. Authority exists everywhere. I'm curious where you are. The explanation trap. Explaining yourself puts you in a lower position. When you explain, you implicitly accept that others have the right to question your actions. Even a simple clarification signals that someone else is entitled to judge your decisions. That's why powerful institutions rarely apologize fully or publicly. Why billionaires issue carefully drafted statements through lawyers. Why old money families avoid interviews and rarely speak in public. Every explanation is a concession. Every justification is a tiny loss of control. Silence, in contrast, preserves authority. It allows decisions and actions to exist on their own merit, without argument, without debate. Consider a CEO facing a public mistake. One CEO will explain, defend, and justify, sometimes endlessly. Another will make adjustments quietly, announce only what's necessary, and continue. Which one retains real power in the eyes of the market? The one who speaks less, because authority thrives where there is restraint. Who explains and who doesn't look closely at society. Employees explain. Applicants explain. Defendants explain. But judges rarely explain beyond a verdict. Owners rarely justify decisions to the public. Boards make decisions quietly and let their authority stand. Authority flows upward. Explanations flow downward. This is not arrogance. It's structure. Those at the top of a hierarchy rarely answer for their position. Those in the middle or bottom are expected to explain constantly. Think about famous leaders in history. Churchill, Lincoln, and Eisenhower were decisive but selective in their words. They rarely explained the full reasoning behind major decisions. Instead, their silence allowed others to project competence, judgment, and authority onto them. This pattern exists in modern business as well. Elon Musk, for example, rarely justifies every action in detail. He communicates enough to be understood, but leaves the rest unspoken. That silence becomes a tool, creating curiosity, anticipation, and respect. If this idea is already changing how you view conversations, like the video, it helps this channel reach people who prefer understanding over noise. Luxury and silence. This principle extends to luxury. The loudest brands seek attention, flashy logos, endless campaigns, constant announcements. They broadcast their wealth and success loudly. The quietest brands target insiders. They cultivate mystique. No logos, no announcements, no need to convince. Luxury in this sense is a signal, but a subtle one. It communicates to those who understand without broadcasting to everyone else. Silence creates distance. Distance creates mystique. Mystique creates power.
Even in social settings, notice the person who does not feel the need to brag. Their calm presence, measured speech, and selective disclosure immediately signal higher status. People pay attention.
They defer, not because of what is said, but because of what is not. Silence and psychological influence. Silence forces projection. When no explanation is given, people fill in the gap themselves. They often assume competence where there is discretion, strategy where there is silence, and control where there is calm. This makes them uncomfortable because uncertainty is psychologically unsettling. Yet that discomfort benefits the silent authority. It allows them to shape perceptions without a single word. Historical examples abound. The Emperor of Japan rarely spoke publicly about political decisions, yet his presence shaped entire societies. In modern times, the founder of a tech empire can choose to comment selectively, and every word is dissected because silence amplifies meaning. Some people interpret silence as weakness, others recognize it as control. Which do you think silence represents? Leave a comment. The misunderstood power of restraint. This does not mean silence is always strength. Silence without position is ignored. Silence with authority is amplified. Power comes first. Silence protects it. Trying to imitate this without understanding the dynamics rarely works. You can reduce words, appear mysterious, or avoid explanations. But if your authority is weak, silence will go unnoticed. True authority is calm, confident, and measured. It does not seek approval. It does not require validation. It simply exists, and the world takes note. Real-world illustration. Consider a boardroom meeting. Two executives present ideas. One explains in detail, anticipating every possible objection. The other presents succinctly, stating decisions clearly and confidently without over-justifying. Who seems more in control? Almost everyone will gravitate toward the one who does not over-explain. In diplomacy, this principle is similar. Nations that reveal less in negotiations often extract more favorable terms. Discretion and silence are strategic tools that preserve influence. Closing reflections. The quietest person in the room is often the one with the least to prove. The next time someone refuses to explain themselves, ask not what they're hiding, but what position they're speaking from. Observe, analyze, and understand that real power moves silently. It is patient, it is restrained, and it is rarely questioned. If you value calm analysis over noise, subscribe to The Quiet Authority. New videos explore how power, wealth, and influence move quietly,